What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money, saving money, building generational wealth, and financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing and financial knowledge for free here on YouTube. And the things that people typically spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn in grad school and in business school, I give this to you for free here on Financipation. And as a guy who has an MBA, I feel very comfortable telling you that. Before I get started, I also want to give a shout out to Killer Solutions. They're one of my sponsors. If you need digital marketing, website development, or someone to essentially edit your YouTube videos for your podcast, they're the best in the business, meeting all of your digital needs. And please hit that notification bell, okay, so you know when I drop new content. I recently had someone reach out to me and tell me that because they're lower middle class and they only have about $50 a month to invest, they can't make any money. They then asked me to do a podcast essentially on how I would invest my money if I only had $25 to $50 every month to invest. And I actually thought this would be a very good time to do this because at the end of the day, everybody, I truly believe that it does not matter how broke you are, how poor you are, or what kind of part of America that you live in. All of us can figure out a way, generally speaking, to put away $25 to $50. And in this particular podcast, I'm going to show you how investing $50 a month, something as small as that amount, can literally make you a millionaire. So with that, let's get started, okay? This is going to be investing 101 for financial emancipation. First of all, what type of investment accounts should you actually be opening? So firstly, I would say you should always look into your tax advantaged accounts, okay? This would be things like your 401k, your Roth IRA, your HSA accounts. As their name implies, everybody, these are great for lowering your tax bill, and they legally lower your tax bill. The second accounts you can invest into are your non-tax advantage accounts. These are things like your brokerage accounts, your high interest savings accounts, and your brick and mortar bank accounts. You don't get a tax benefits per se from these accounts, but they are still necessary in order to build generational wealth. Now let's dig a little deeper into tax advantage accounts, okay? So let's say you only have $50 a month to invest. That may not seem like a lot of money, but over time it compounds to a lot of money and allows you to basically build and benefit from tax benefits over decades. And these are tax benefits that can legally save you hundreds of thousands, or in some cases, millions of dollars. So even if you start out with as little as $50 a month, everybody, your goal should be to invest that amount first and foremost into one of your tax advantage accounts. I am very, very upfront on this podcast, everybody, about telling people that you need to invest into what I like to call the three pillars of tax advantage accounts. And these pillars, everybody, are your 401k, your Roth IRA, and your health savings account or your HSA account. And your ultimate goal eventually, everybody, should be to max out these three tax advantage accounts on your road to building wealth. So in 2024, the limit for what you can invest into your 401k is $23,000. In 2024, the limit for what you can invest into your Roth IRA is $7,000. And if you are single, the limit for what you can invest into your HSA in 2024 is $8,300. So there are age and income limits on all three of these accounts. And if you are above 50, you can invest about $1,000 more into all of them. So in some cases, if you make a certain amount, however, above these income limits, you can't invest into them without doing things like the backdoor Roth IRA. And I have an entire podcast about that. So for the tax advantage accounts, everybody, and it limits what you can and you cannot invest into them, okay? So because we talked about tax advantage accounts, now let's talk about non-tax advantage accounts, okay? As I said earlier, there are tax advantage accounts like the ones I just got to name in regards to the 401k, the Roth IRA, and the HSA account. And there are non-tax advantage accounts that you should also take into consideration as well, okay? And some of these include things like a custodial account, your standard brokerage accounts, and things of that nature. These types of accounts don't give you any kind of tax benefit, but they also don't have any financial limitations on them either. So you can be a millionaire or a billionaire. You can still invest into your traditional brokerage accounts. Keep in mind, everyone, that Roth IRAs, 401ks, and brokerage accounts, UTMAs, are not investments per se. They're essentially the bank that holds your money, and the stocks, the ETFs, the mutual funds, and the index funds that you put in them, that's essentially like the money that you put into your bank account. And for the record, the three brokerage firms that my wife and I use and the most popular are Charles Schwab, Vanguard, and Fidelity. And my personal advice is if you have a brokerage account with Charles Schwab, Vanguard, and Fidelity, you are essentially sitting in good company because, in my opinion, those are the three best brokerage accounts in the world. And think of the brokerage account, everybody's kind of like the house. The Roth IRA, the 401k, individual brokerage accounts, your UTMAs, your 529s, those are like the rooms in that house. So the brokerage account kind of holds everything. And your Roth IRA, your 401k, the children's college funds, the children's 529s, those things like the individual rooms and essentially make up your entire brokerage account, okay? And my advice is get a brokerage account through Charles Schwab, Fidelity, or Vanguard. And if you're not familiar with these types of accounts, I have videos where I systematically walk you through how to open, for instance, a Roth IRA, how to open a 401k, how to open a UTMA account for your children, how to open a 529 for your children, and you can start building wealth today. Once again, for as little as $50 a month. So let's keep it moving. The first step for you to determine what types of accounts you are going to open up, tax advantage versus non-tax advantage accounts. And the second step is for you to start buying actual investments inside of these accounts. So now let's talk about your choices and what types of stocks you should be buying in these accounts that you open. What I notice happens a lot of times, however, is that more often than not, many people will open their 401ks or Roth IRAs or their brokerage accounts, and they'll just let them sit there and they never put anything into them. Everybody, do not let that be you, okay? Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop new content. Please hit the like button. Please share the video. Please comment, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content. Now, there are 5 different investments you should strongly consider investing into for your tax advantage or non-tax advantage accounts. Option 1, individual stocks. Now, when people think about buying stocks, they unfortunately, and they also normally think about buying individual stocks in the companies like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Tesla, Apple, things like that. And on the outset, there's nothing really wrong with that, but you're not going to make any money if you buy individual stocks, because you're essentially most likely going to fall into the trap of trying to time the market. And we are marketed, unfortunately, from the time we were preteens about the importance of buying individual stocks. And sadly, this is what most people do. I would highly, highly, highly advise you to not buy individual stocks. I don't care what the company is, unless you are a highly educated individual in the financial industry and you have done it for decades. I have an MBA. I've taught finance for decades. And to be honest with you, I don't buy individual stocks because it takes too much of my time. And I would much rather buy safer investments that I know for a fact have a 100-year track record for making money. In fact, once again, studies absolutely show even a guy like Warren Buffett, who is, in my opinion, the Oracle owner, is one of the greatest investors of our lifetime. He has publicly admitted that he can't systematically beat the stock market consistently over a 15-year period. So if Warren Buffett can't beat the stock market by picking individual stocks, what makes you think that you can do it? If you only have $50 to invest, everybody, I would highly advise you to not buy individual stocks. To me, it is a losing proposition, as once again, over 90% of professional advisors and financial planners cannot beat the 10% returns that the stock market gives you over the course of your lifetime. Option 2, the next option you can buy in regards to investing into your tax advantage or your non-tax advantage accounts are real estate investment trusts. God makes more people, everybody, but he does not make more land. As a result, real estate should be a decently large portion of your investment portfolio. I have an entire podcast, everybody, on REITs, and check it out as the description is in the link below. I'm not going to go into all the specifics for this particular podcast. I did it for that last one. But in general, everybody, REITs are very good investments because they have all the benefits, essentially, of owning physical real estate and physical property with literally none of the issues as far as having lazy tenants that won't pay you money, or getting a phone call at 3 a.m. saying, I need you to come fix the toilet that I broke, or having to evict a tenant that unfortunately can't pay their rent. When you purchase REITs and things like that, everybody, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Many REITs, everybody, they track things like hospitals, real estate, data centers, and into Walmart and pharmaceutical laboratories, into military bases, into commercial real estate, and also into apartment complexes and buildings. People always need a place to live. I don't care how bad the economy is doing or how poor everybody is. People always need a place to live. And because of that, businesses will always need commercial real estate space to provide jobs for these people or to provide them food and clothing. So as a result, everybody, REITs are typically a very good investment because they allow you to add to your real estate portfolio. And that is always going to be needed in this country. So if you only have $50 to invest, REITs, in my opinion, are a phenomenal investment to invest into as they add to your real estate portfolio. So the next tax advantage or non-tax advantage account I would advise you to highly consider, everyone, are passively managed index funds. This, in my opinion, might be the best investment that you should consider putting money into if you only have $50 a month to invest into. As a result, everyone, I highly advise you to look into knowing passively managed index funds. If you follow my channel, you know I am a huge fan of passively managed low-cost index funds, and they make up a significantly large portion of my portfolio. I actually have an entire podcast on how index funds can make you a millionaire. So what are index funds? This is the simplest way I can explain them. Imagine you walk into a grocery store that has over 2,000 pieces of candy inside of it. And imagine it's candy you've never seen before, and you only have $50 to spend for all this candy. Now imagine you buy $50 worth of candy, you get 50 pieces of candy, and all 50 different types of candy are nasty and you don't like them. That's what it's like buying individual stocks, people. Now imagine you walk into that same candy store and they're selling a $50 box or ball of candy that has very, very small portions of every piece of the 2,000 pieces of candy inside that candy store. And you purchase that one box or one ball of candy and you individually can sample all 2,000 pieces of candy inside it. You've essentially bought the entire stock market. You've essentially bought the entire stock market or the entire candy store for that $50. That's what it's like, everybody, when you buy an index fund that tracks the total stock market. It's ultimate diversification and it also has low expense ratios. And index funds allow you to buy a small portion of the entire stock market, and they therefore give you ultimate diversification. So, as the name implies, index funds that track the S&P 500 are called an S&P 500 index fund. Index funds that follow pharmaceutical medical labs are called pharmaceutical index funds, and so on. Another tremendous advantage, everybody, of index funds, and once again, is what I stated earlier, is that you have very, very low expense ratios. So while actively managed mutual funds have expense ratios of 0.75%, many index funds have expense ratios of under 0.01%. In English, this is what this means, okay? A mutual fund that has an expense ratio of 0.75% means that you will pay $75 for every $10,000 that you make. Whereas an index fund that has an expense ratio of 0.01% means you only pay $1 for every $10,000 that you make. That extra $75 that you are losing will add up over time, everyone. So always select the best funds with the lowest expense ratios. And what's crazy is that, typically speaking, that index fund that only charges you $1 for every $10,000 that you make, typically speaking, outperforms that mutual fund that charges you $74 for every $10,000 that you make. I am a huge proponent, everybody, of index funds. They are huge components of my retirement portfolio and investment portfolio, and you should strongly consider making them a large portion of yours. So if you only have $50 to invest every month into a different type of investment, I personally would start with a good total stock market index fund, okay? And once again, that's just my opinion, but I have an entire podcast about that. Next, the next investment you should add to your tax advantage or non-tax advantage accounts, if you only have $50 a month to invest, are actively managed mutual funds. Full disclosure, everybody, just like I stated earlier, I have an entire podcast on why you should avoid actively managed mutual funds and instead invest into passively managed mutual funds. For the sake of this podcast, I will say this. Actively managed mutual funds are managed by financial planners and hedge fund managers. These so-called financial experts charge you extra money to pick investments for you. What they don't tell you is that 96% of the time, these financial gurus, these financial experts can't beat an index fund over a 15-year period. So many index funds have expense ratios, once again, as I said earlier, around 0.01%, whereas it's not uncommon to see mutual funds with expense ratios that are actively managed with expense ratios of over 0.75%. Additionally, over the last 20 years, the average financial planner has only averaged a very meager 3.4%, whereas the S&P 500 has averaged 9.4% over the same time period. And some of the index funds that I have actually managed over 12% over the exact same 20-year time period. What that means, everybody, is this. If you invest into an actively managed mutual fund, 96% of the time, you are going to lose money instead of you invest into a passively managed index fund. I personally don't invest anything into mutual funds, everyone, as I believe that they are lousy investments. But many people do, however, invest into mutual funds. So as a result, I'm listing that as one of the things that you can invest your $50 a month into. I think I made it very clear which one you should avoid, which one you should use, okay? Next. The next investment you should add to your tax advantage or non-tax advantage accounts are ETFs or exchange traded funds. I have an entire video on ETFs where I talk about how investing into them can make you a millionaire. If individual stocks and index funds essentially had a baby, they'd be ETFs. ETFs are very cool because, similar to index funds, they track entire markets depending on what kind of ETF that you purchase, and they track a basket of stocks or securities. So that candy analogy that I talked about earlier, ETFs, that analogy applies to ETFs just as well, okay? So for instance, if you buy and track an ETF that tracks the total stock market index fund, you are essentially purchasing a highly diversified ETF that has over 2,000 stocks inside of it. If you purchase an ETF that has, that tracks coffee, that means you're buying an ETF that tracks coffee. If you buy an ETF that tracks real estate, that means you're buying an ETF that tracks real estate. And similar to buying individual stocks, ETFs trade like stocks. And that means you typically have to buy the entire value of the ETF if you want to purchase it. So if a stock or ETF costs $300, you typically have to spend $300 to buy that individual stock or the individual ETF. Fidelity, however, which is my favorite brokerage account, allows you to buy fractional shares of stocks and fractional shares of ETFs, whereas Schwab and Vanguard do not. Full disclosure, Fidelity is my preferred brokerage account, as I said earlier, and for this very reason, it's because it allows you to buy fractional shares. And it's the reason I started investing with them, because it allowed me to start investing when I had as little as $50 in my account to invest. In closing, everybody, if you are poor or lower middle class and you only have $50 to invest every month, if you take my advice and at 18 years old, you start investing $50 a month, which is less than $2 a day, into a good total stock market index fund that returns 11%. 50 years later, when you retire at 68 years old, because you started investing at 18, you would have over $1 million waiting for you in your retirement account. And this is also what's crazy, everybody. If you stepped it up and at 18 years old, you started investing $100 a month, or just $4 or less than $4 a day into a good total stock market index fund or a REIT or ETF that returned 11% annually, people, 50 years later, when you turn 68 years old, you would have over $2 million in your retirement account. Everybody, when I talk about financial emancipation, building generational wealth, and freeing yourself from generational poverty, this is the reason why I get so frustrated when people tell me BS like they can't afford to invest. I don't care who you are. You can find $1 a day or $2 a day or $4 a day to invest your money. And if you have workable hands, workable feet, you can find a second job and you can put all that money towards your investment. Because at the end of the day, it is flat out irresponsible to not invest $2 a day over the course of a 50-year period of your life and not to retire with $2 or $3 million in the bank. But once again, I grew up lower middle class. I know what it's like to basically be poor. And it makes literally no sense for a person to walk up to me and tell me things like, Chris, I can't afford to invest. No, you can afford to invest. The problem is you were never taught that if you start investing slowly but surely and do it consistently over decades, you are going to retire a millionaire. And if you are unfamiliar of what to invest in or how to invest, book a one-on-one session with me. We can work something out and I can teach you how to do that. And that, everybody, this channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. You can book a one-on-one session with me at any point. The link is below. I am not giving you financial advice on this channel, everybody. You must make responsible decisions based on the thorough independent research that you do for yourself. And thanks for listening, everybody. You can check out my website at www.therealfinancipation.com. You can check me on Instagram at @thereal_financipation. You can check me out on Spotify at Financipation. My TikTok is Financipation as well. And check out my Facebook page as well, Financipation. Please check out my financial blog, Financipation. And check out some of my digital, my e-products below as well. Please hit the notification bell. And please like, please comment, please share, please subscribe, and please hit the notification button as well. And also, thank you, Helical Solutions, for all these dope graphics, okay? I could not do this without you guys and the amazing help that you guys give me, okay? And with that, everybody, it's your boy, Chris. I'm out. Peace. Peace.